Hey gang, this is John with Triple Crown Baseball. Touching base with you all, and I've got a special guest here with me tonight, Rene Gayo, who is one of the scouts that is part of Don Reynolds' baseball group, and he's been involved this last spring and summer scouting the Triple Crown events, and we're excited to have him here. So just want to turn it over and ask you a few questions, Rene. So I appreciate you taking some time to visit with us.
Well, it's my pleasure. I love the game. I'm very fortunate to be involved with Don and with Triple Crown. So this is it's definitely my honor. It's a great thing.
Great, great. Well, tell us a little bit about how baseball started for you. From the standpoint of high school to collegiate, however you got started to all the way into getting involved in scouting professionally.
My family, I'm the first one in my family ever born in the United States. So my mother, my father, my sister, they were all from Cuba, and due to the regime of terror and socialism, they left in the Bay of Pigs in '62. I was born in Miami. We ended up in Chicago, which is where I grew up. And so I inherited the love from baseball from my dad. My dad, when I was born, he was 50, so he'd be like 110 now. I was born in 1912, so he played in another era in Cuba, and because of that, I learned my baseball from him. Was very conscious of the game and the history of the game, and especially not only the American history I learned, but the Latin history. So I played as a kid in Little League in the '70s in Chicago, and I played in high school in an all-boys Catholic school, Gordon Tech. And that was a very different era than now. Now we have everybody, it's a big world, so you get people from California going to school and, Texas, or it wasn't really that way back then. So I was recruited locally by Southern Illinois, and by, Triton Junior College, and in different junior colleges that were kind of big schools were local, but I wanted to go south. So I ended up going to a Catholic school in Texas, St. Mary's University. That's where I played college baseball at. And then I stopped playing my last 2 years, then for various reasons. And then I ended up going and playing in the summer league in Puerto Rico, and that's where I signed. Played with the Reds in the minor leagues. Played a couple of years. Had knee surgeries, and the guy that signed me, Cam Bonifay, became the scouting director for the Pirates, and he's the one that asked me to be a scout. And I never, my attitude was, just because you drive the bus doesn't mean you can fix it. Just because you can play doesn't mean you can evaluate. So I did it part-time for about 4 years to see if I liked it. I was back in Texas because I graduated from school there in San Antonio at St. Mary's, and I started being a part-time scout, and then I got a full-time job I went from the Pirates to the Rangers for a year as a part-time guy, and then I got a full-time job with Cleveland, and I was with Cleveland from like 1994 through 2004. I was an area scout in South Texas and Louisiana, and then because of my Latin background and the fact that I've been successful and signed some late big leaguers, Bruce Haven in the 30th round for $1,000, Jason Rakers in the 25th round, and then they gave me a chance to go to Latin America, and that's how that all started. I ended up spending 20 years there as a director, first with the Pirates for with the Indians for 5 years, and then I became the Latin guy with the Pirates for 14. So,
Wow. So a long history. So what was the actual first year when you dipped your toe into scouting?
My first year dipping my toe as a part-time guy would have been in 1989, and my first year as a full-time guy was 1994.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then my last year doing it was as a director was 2017.
Okay, nice. Well, there's a wealth of knowledge there. So, and there's nothing that can ever change that. So it's great to have have that experience. There.
That was very fortunate. I mean, I signed 33 major leaguers, and and that's over that time. So I was very fortunate to do that. I was also fortunate in Latin America to be able to sign a lot of big league guys for not a lot of money, which is, and even the big leaguers I got in the States, I got a guy in the 30th round, 25th round. You get guys down there because nobody wants them. So I was always very much of an independent thinker. was also a different era, but nonetheless, it's a player's game. And so the deal here is being able to you can find a big league player everywhere. I think that one of the things now that I've seen being with Triple Crown and knowing, been around the United States now in the last few years, that it's changed is that everybody wants to be anointed, and that's nice, but you can get a big league player from anywhere. So I think it's more about, everybody doesn't show up at the party at the same time.
Yeah.
Some guys develop at different times. So as long as you love the game, you keep progressing, I think that, you just never know what can happen.
Gotcha. I know we talked a couple weeks ago, and you mentioned some of the players that you've signed. Who are some of the guys in the major leagues now that the kids that would watch this interview, and the families, the parents that would watch this interview might know?
Well, I have the outfielder Harold Ramirez, and he's playing now with Cleveland. These are all guys I signed with Pittsburgh. And then I have Joel E. Rodriguez, left-handed pitcher, that's with the Yankees. I have Elias Diaz, the catcher, with Colorado, and Starling Marte, the center fielder, with Oakland. Those are the guys I got playing in the big leagues right now that I got from the Pirates in that era of my life that are active. And none of those guys, besides Harold Ramirez, who I gave $1.1 million to, Joel Lee got 95,000, Starling got 85,000, and I gave Elias Diaz $20,000. Wow. So they're all like low money.
Something about the Pirates giving up on talent. You start to look all over the major leagues, and all the talent that is with somebody else and started with them. So it's kind of crazy when you think about all the talent.
Yeah, I mean it is, but it's a very intricate thing, and again, like what I said just a minute ago, everybody doesn't show up at the party at the same time.
Right.
So they're people. I think that's one thing that we lose sight of. We live in a world now where there's a lot of technology and this and that, but it's still people playing the game. Mm-hmm. And so, and different people mature at different times, and it's a hard game. It's not easy. It's a simple game, but it's not easy. And so, and it happens so fast, and so I think that sometimes that takes time. It's just the way it is, I mean, Judge, who's a star now, and he was considered a bust by the Yankees for a long time, and it just took him a while. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. You think about his first year, he coming in, and how many times he struck out.
Yeah.
He wasn't up a full season, and they were, worried about just too much.
And there's been so many baseball, people forget about that, but Willie Mays, there's been more guys who have struggled and had to learn than the guy that comes up and everything's coming up roses. It's people forget though, because it's just the nature of the world. But and it's not just baseball. Look at Tom Brady. There's so many examples of that I think that we can't lose sight of that, especially with these kids that we're talking to, and this is for the parents and whatnot. You just can't lose sight of that. You gotta remember why you're playing. It's nice to get somewhere, but you gotta live where your feet are.
Right.
Well,
when you got the call from Don to see about whether you wanted to join his scouting group and work the Triple Crown events, did you have any expectations about this top prospect program? And what was your thoughts from the get-go?
I've been in Latin America for such a long time where it's a completely different dynamic that there's some apprehension, because I'd seen how this has become kind of I don't want to use words to criticize it. It just evolved into something else. There's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of pain. So it's very different in Latin America. There's none of that. So I've been in a place where it was still like it used to be in America a long time ago. You get to play if you're good enough. You can't pay your way into anything. So I was a little wary of that. The only thing that I felt confident in is Don. Don probably the two most humble guys I've met that ever that played in the big leagues are Don and Rolando Arrojo, who pitched with Tampa and Boston, and a Cuban defector. And, you wouldn't even know that they played a day in the big leagues. They never, act arrogantly or anything. So I knew that being with Don and the people we have like Mike Toomey, Dave Holliday, there's just so many guys that are pure baseball guys that I thought, hey, I knew it would be good. So any apprehensions I had, because there's a lot of new things going on and a lot of new technology and all these things that are going on that everybody's trying to tell you. Everybody wants to change the game, but the game, things around it change, but the game is always the same game. So there was a little bit, once I got out there, and I've been this will be the third function. It was great. It's been really good. So I've enjoyed it a lot. It's good.
That's great to hear. Great to hear.
Yeah.
You've mentioned a couple times the game remains the same. People keep trying to change it, but so obviously we get to the the measurables and the analytics and the tools. Obviously those are things that scouts are using, teams are using, colleges are looking at. But from your standpoint, aside from those things, what are the things that you look for when you show up at an event and it's time to scout that event?
I think that one of the reasons why everybody keys on the measurables, and now that we have new things, whether it be the exit velocity or the Rapsodo with the spin rate, all these things, everybody gets bent on it. It's okay, because in the past you were looking at those things anyway, and you had ways to measure them, but in a different way. And so that's all everybody ever talks about. Okay, we understand that. So before, whether you looked at it with your own two eyes or now we have a machine to do it, I'm all right. I'm not against that. I'm really not. That's like saying, well, I'm not going to use a cell phone. I'm going to use a rotary phone, or I'm going to ride a horse. It's absurd. It doesn't matter. But those are things that can be measured and seen with the eye. They're measured and seen with the eye. There's also things that can't be measured, but can be seen with the eye also. And generally for our player, stamina, reflexes, agility, durability, size, poise, anticipation, coordination, instinct, space running. But then there's a lot of other things that you establish through asking questions and watching a guy play that cannot really be seen with the eye. His attitude, desire, drive, his willingness, his availability, hunger, his ambition, mental things, intelligence, baseball sense, teachability, knowledge of the game. Is he a winner? Because that's why we play. We play to win championships. I don't care whether, we go now to where we're at, or whether you go play in high school, or whether you go play in college or the big, everybody's trying to win. So does he have stomach? Does he have heart? Is he a competitor? Does he have dignity, or pride, people call it, confidence? And then things like his personality. The coaches are going to be very aware of how he's going to fit in. Is he the kind of guy who's going to improve? Consistency, this maturity. Does he make adjustments? Stability, his temperament, his disposition, and then things like his family background and habits. So there's a lot of things that you look at in a player when he gets out there early. You're, as a scout, from the moment he gets out there, I'm watching him even when he doesn't think you're watching. And so that's what scouting is. All the other things, the things that are measurable, that's evaluating. But scouting, it's like your wife. Like, did you scout your wife before you married her? You see what I'm saying? See, I've always said that, especially, there's two things here. I think what we're looking at is we're trying to help kids, that playing in the big leagues, from 1876, 25,000 men, that's nothing. Are parts of 3 centuries. 25,000 men have ever stood on a major league field. So we'll see. But you can go to college. And that's a big deal. It's not only a great experience to teach you about life, but with as expensive as school is, If a parent can get a break on having to pay a full price because his kid can play baseball, that's a big deal, you know. And so I think the game does wonderful things to allow you to achieve something like that. And it teaches you a lot about life, because it's about being able to keep coming when you get your back up against the wall. And nothing's better than baseball at teaching you that. You know?
So in scouting, with all the technology that's out there, can you pinpoint any one specific thing that because of technology gets missed in scouting these days?
Well, I think that one of the problems that we have with all this is that you can be and I've had this with guys that sign. I've signed. You can be very, very talented and have all the tools, and that doesn't mean that you're going to be a successful player. Now, you know, you look at a guy like Pete Rose, who in this day and age probably does not even get the chance to sign. His tools were kind of mediocre, but you know what? He's got 4,000 hits. There's only two guys that can say that, and one of them's dead. And that's at the highest level. So I think that one of the things that we have now is it's not just the tools, which is great that you can measure them. So, but it's not just how fast you run, but how well you run fast. It's not just how hard you throw, but how well you throw hard. And so that's one of the things that we used to always say in the past, is it usable? He's got a tool, but it's got to be usable. You've got to be that tool has to be something that you can use it in the game. You know, it's like the guy that throws, they'll tell you, well, he throws 99. No, he hit 99, but he really pitches at 93 to 94 under control, where he can move the ball around. So we can't lose sight of the fact that we have to be able to take the tools and use them, because a lot of time it's like horse racing. I don't know a lot about horse racing, but I know that in the Kentucky Derby, there's a certain type of horse that runs that's a thoroughbred. Now you can take a donkey and train him, but he's never a thoroughbred. He's just a well-trained donkey. So in the big leagues, thoroughbreds are in the big leagues. But if you're a well-trained donkey, you can play in college. And that's a big deal. So it's about really learning the game and loving it. A lot of us, me included, I got a chance to play pro ball. I didn't play in the big leagues. But you know what? I kept working in baseball. I'm sitting here talking to you now and trying to hand it down to somebody else as you are. So everybody can't play in the big leagues. That doesn't mean we can't, love baseball, contribute to it, and even make a living at it in one way or another. So I think that we lose sight of all that sometimes, and we shouldn't. And it's just like college. That's one of the things about talking to parents and the kids. Everyone cannot play at LSU or USC, and that's okay. Billy Wagner threw 100, and he from a D3 non-scholarship school, Ferrum College. Albert Pujols, who's going to go to Cooperstown, is a junior college player from Maplewood's junior college. Ben Zobrist played in the World Series back-to-back with Kansas City and with the Cubs, second baseman utility. He went NAIA school at Olivet Nazarene, wherever that's at. And then J.D. Martinez, who's hit 30 home runs in the big leagues, he was a D2 player out of Nova Southeastern in Florida. So there's different ways to skin a cat. I think that sometimes what we do is we create these expectations that make us feel bad when we get an opportunity. And the key is to love the game. And if you have a place where you can go play, there's different ways to skin a cat,
Yeah, great points. Those are all good points. Playing D1 or MLB, it's so sensationalized, and I think a lot of people just lose sight of the fact that you want to play the game because you love the game, and you want the opportunity to play, and where can that be? So that leads me to we're talking about technology and things of that sort, and obviously when you came on board scouting for us, we had we had dialogue and conversations about social media and Twitter and all that stuff. So what's your thoughts about the social media from a couple different points? Number one, as a scout. Number two, as a parent, and then finally as a player.
Listen, I think that what it isn't. The train left the station. It's what's going on. That's the world we live in. So it exists now. As far as a player, because people are still people. So if we were talking on the phone, or I had to walk over to your house, or now I can text you or tweet you, we're still interacting. So I think that what it does now for players is, I think they have to be a little careful, because everything you say has been scrutinized and interpreted by different people. So whenever you're out there, a lot of people are watching, not your buddy, everybody's watching. Scouts are going to look at that now, and coaches are going to look at that, and they're going to have opinions because of it. So whatever you say, right or wrong, people are looking at it. One. Two, so I don't think it's necessarily bad, but it's another way that all those things I brought up that you can't see with the eye, it's almost easier now. Before you had to have a conversation with the kid or try to now you can use that to establish some of that. One. So I think that that it's just part of life, and it's something that you can use. You just got to be careful with it. The other thing is that we don't get what we expect, or even what we paid for. We get what we achieve. So it's great to be anointed, but that carries with it the responsibility of continuing to prove it. It isn't like, some of these kids, you see them now, well, this guy signed here. Well, that's great, but you're going to have to go out and keep playing well, because those schools those scholarships are 1 year renewable. If you can't help them, he'll get rid of you and go get some junior college guy that can. So I'm not against guys being anointed, but we can never lose sight of the fact that you are what you achieve. You're going to have to keep producing. The great Tom Brady won 6 rings, and the New England Patriots decided, and once again, you got to remember, those are the same people that drafted him when nobody liked them. They decided that they were done with him. They were going to move on. And they have every right to do that. But you know what? They got to watch it on TV, and he got his 7th ring. So you see what I'm saying? So The reality of the matter is, he understands that, it's great that everyone calls him the GOAT, but he's not sitting back and smiling. He's going to get the next one. And so you can't lose sight of that. You got to lose. The reality of the matter is, you are what you do. And so it's okay to use social media and to be ranked and this and that, but that carries with it. When you do that and you stand out there and you say, everybody look at me. Well, when you get on that field now, you better be able to prove it. You better be able to back it up. And that's all. That's my only thing with that. It's okay, but it still carries with it. You got to go prove it.
When you were scouting for the Pirates and then the Rangers, the Indians, excuse me.
Yeah.
Was there a message from ownership with regards to social media as far as using it or how to use it?
Yeah, in Cleveland, it wasn't big at the time, but with Pittsburgh, it was already part of life. And so they would, they would tell us to be careful using it, but definitely to have it and look at what players are doing. You're a fool if you don't, because that's the way they communicate now. And you can see a lot of things, whether it be good or bad, we always associate with, some red flag. There are also good things involved with that. Let's not, again, I'm older, so I'm not as comfortable with it maybe as others, but the more you get used to it, it's okay. Like, look at what we're doing now.
Yeah.
This is bad. No, it's not. You're in Colorado. I'm here. Look at this is a great thing. So, if you don't like this, there's something, you're nuts, so I like it. I just don't think that if we lose sight of the fact that whether I'm in person with you or here, we're still communicating,
Sure.
We're still, so that's the thing. I don't think these things operate in and of themselves. It's still people, and we're still evaluating people. And then when it comes to baseball, even if it measures stuff, we got to go out and play the game. we've got to play together to try to win. And that's what, and especially these college coaches now. I mean, when I was young, those guys were sleeping in the clubhouse making 30 grand. The guy at A&M just got $1.7 million. That's a lot of money. So he's got to win some games. So he's going to go out and get guys that he feels can help him win games. It's just the way it is.
Right. So, any specific advice for parents with
Yes,
regards to their
I think because I was fortunate enough to be able to, through Glenn Cicchini, who last year his high school bar, they won their 11th state championship and their second national championship. And Glenn and I been good friends 25 years, since we were in our 30s. And he asked me to coach with him with Team USA in 2016. I was fortunate enough to do that and win a gold medal. We won the Pan Am Games. We beat Cuba. And then last year was the first year I was coaching the high school. And we won a state championship with Matt Fontenot in St. Louis. And so, I get to be around, parents and see the dynamic of it. And, we all love our kids. And I'm never going to get mad at a guy for loving his kid or pumping him up. But, when you're with scouts and coaches, sometimes pumping them too much or trying to talk about your kid and saying he deserves a chance because he's a hard worker, that works against you sometimes more than for you. I mean, if you get asked the question, answer, but you don't have to really pump your kid. I mean, a lot of times if a coach is coming to see him or a scout's coming to see him, he's earned that through the ability he has. So just kind of let it be what it is. And if they ask you a question, answer, but you don't have to sell them. And it's hard to do that because you love your children, but sometimes that works against you more than helps you.
Nice point.
Yeah.
Well, obviously this week's a big week. You're going to be joining us down in Tucson here at the end of the week. So hopefully you're excited about that. But what message do you hope to convey there, and what are you going to be looking to try to communicate with the players there during the time that you're there?
Well, one of the things is to really enjoy the game because, no one says work ball, they say play ball. So it's great that we have aspirations, but one of the things is to really enjoy it. And then the other thing is, with each player, if, when we have contact with them, wherever they're at and they're developing, we try to help them so they can make that next step so they can continue to improve. So that's what I like about this environment, that we're getting them when they're young. We've been fortunate enough, at least in the last two events I've been at with Triple Crown, to see some kids that really have ability and to be able to, come in contact with their parents and, help them, whether you say something specifically about what they need to do or give them some advice about maybe who they could go to that could help them out. Anything you can do that so their progress continues. It's exciting to be a part of an environment where you can do that.
Well, it's interesting because we have you guys with all the kids you guys scouted and with the kids that you selected. There's 26 of them showing up at the end of the week, and it's a pretty special opportunity to be able to learn and hear from individuals like yourself and Mike Toomey and Dave Holliday. So it'll be nice and for myself and to be able to sit back and watch and see how they respond to the interaction with you guys. So I'm looking forward to it. So
yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's good Triple Crown's doing this, and in the world sometimes now that gets a little skewed, it's good to have good things, and this is definitely a good thing.
Yeah. Well, this kind of leads to the last thing, and you've been involved, like you said, for several events, and this is the first year for this program, and obviously, you being involved with it for this will be your third event. You said so. What do you see so far in your experience with Triple Crown and the Top Prospect program that differentiates it from other programs and organizations that are doing, similar things?
Well, you have to give credit to Triple Crown that they decided to get, Don Reynolds and his people over here. A lot of people can say, well, we got, some guys that are evaluating here. Well, wait a second. you know, all players aren't created equal and all scouts aren't created equal. You know, when you talk about guys like Mike Toomey, or you guys talk about Don, you talk about, you know, Danny Bates, all the guys that you have involved here, it isn't that they have experience, is they've had a lot of success. Now, Dave Holliday, forget just what happened in pro baseball. When Oklahoma State was Oklahoma State, the guy that got Pete Incaviglia there, the guy that got Robin Ventura there, I mean, that was Dave Holliday. So, these guys have been doing this a long time. Toomey coached in college before he got involved in major. You have people that it's not just their experience, it's the level of success they've had. No one else has that kind of group of guys together right now. And so the fact that Triple Crown has that, I don't know all these other people. I mean, with all the letters, but they don't got that. So that definitely makes Triple Crown something else. And to have those kind of men with that kind of experience who are that humble because they love the game so much, that just puts you at a different level. So my respect for Triple Crown. That was a good move to get that group of men together.
Well, appreciate that. So it's been a great learning experience for myself, being around all of you guys and having the opportunity to listen to what you guys have to say and the stories that you've relayed to me, and just listening to the scouts talk back and forth about their life experiences scouting the different players, and the hits and the misses are always some good things to hear about. So I'm grateful that you're a part of the team, and look forward to seeing you down there this next weekend, and watching the players compete, and under your guys' leadership, it'll be a cool experience for sure. So thanks again for being part of the team and taking the time to do this interview.
Well, thank you. It's definitely, it's a labor of love. I want to thank Triple Crown. I want to thank you. And it's great to be here, and hope to continue to do this and make it better every time.
Sounds good, Rene.
All right. Thanks. Thank you, everybody.